elections, the primaries tomorrow. So while we're talking, not invocation, but others, will you please fill them out, and then we'll have somebody pick them up. Okay? And now here with invocation is Dorothy Warren.
Good afternoon. Let us pray. Most gracious and merciful God, we come before you today, first of all, to give you thanks. Thanks for allowing us another chance to get it right. We thank you for your grace and for your mercy that continues to keep us, even when we don't want to be kept. We thank you for your loving arms of protection and your peace beyond all understanding. We come today praying for our club, our city, our state, and our country. We're praying for healing throughout this land, healing from this pandemic, healing from unrest, healing from injustice, and peace throughout this land. We ask that you touch our leadership and rule and guide them as they make decisions that affect so many. Dear God, we ask that you bless this food, that it may be used for our nourishment and us to thy service. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Doreen. And now, introducing visiting Rotarians and guests is Alan Roberson.
Good afternoon. Everybody hear me?
Yes,
Glad to see you all are here and healthy, and everybody's doing well. Are there any visiting Rotarians out there? Do any Rotarians have guests? Well, I have a couple. I want to introduce Clara Sosa, who is our exchange student, who is from Spain, from the Canary Islands, and is leaving to go back in 2 days, so on Wednesday. And then two of our host mothers, Ashley Lindler and Ronnie Behringer, are here to see us, so pleased to have you here again. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. That was a quick fill-in, but they were mostly his guests. Now, health and happiness, Andy Shane.
Stay. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Wonderful. A couple quick messages I just want to share out. Harold Wren, who was a member of this Rotary for 30 years, he passed away at age 93, unfortunately. He ran BP. Yeah. He he ran BP Barber and Associates, the engineering firm. So obviously, I'm sorry about that. But on another side of things, Edwin Davis's wife, Jane, is undergoing cancer treatment at MD Anderson. But understand that the treatments are going very, very well, so that's some good news to share. I've also been asked to share a little bit about the cart, give a cart update, and it looks like we're only about $740 away from our goal for the year of $6,000. So if we can get $185 a meeting, we can make our goal for the carts, for the cart buckets. So please give and give generously, at least $185 worth if you can for all of that. So please. I just have a little thing I wanted to share. I don't know about any of y'all, but I had to stay at home during the recent unpleasantness. And it made me think about a number of new jobs that could be created out of the fact that we were staying at home for so long. And I came up with 10 of them after my experience, and hopefully maybe some of you who either had to stay at home or know people who had to stay at home would share a little bit with this. The first job I think that would be really necessary is Netflix Curator, and this is a person who tells you what to watch without regret or embarrassment about that, and also obviously will settle all the family arguments that you have over what to watch on Netflix. Another job I think that could be really useful is what to do with leftovers chef, and this is a person who makes 5-star meals out of your 2-star dinners. Authoritative grown-up. For those of us who had kids, especially trying to teach them all, you need that someone with a stern voice, a confident attitude, and a powerful finger wag that your kids will actually listen to, someone to be authoritative. Here's a big one for those, obviously we're now re-entering the workplace, a lot of us are doing that. So obviously you need a work order consultant because you need to understand and remember what you have in the closet to wear to work that aren't sweatpants. Zoom referee, for anyone who's been on a Zoom meeting. What's important is to have the Zoom referee point at the next box at who's going to talk next so y'all don't talk over each other. I think that's a big one. Weed spreader. You know, a lot of people have had time to really take care of their lawns and maybe you didn't. So here's a person who's going to spread crabgrass and dandelions on your neighbor's lawn so that it looks as bad as yours, so you don't feel so bad. Another big one. Amazon Interventionist. Now this is a person with really good upper body strength who can grab your wrists and stop you from searching for things and clicking on things that you don't need but you want because you can get it shipped for free in 2 days. How about this one, a mask stylist? You know, do you go with a basic hospital blue or a cloth evening black? Is it time for an N95 or just a simple bandana? And what cartoon character or sports logo goes best to Target? Whether you're seeking a promotion or just trying vainly to find toilet paper, this is an expert who will help you pick the right mask for the moment. You know, obviously a lot of us have been exercising, but sometimes we don't have a partner. So why walk or run alone when you can have an exercise partner? And they come in conservative, progressive, Carolina, Clemson, a foodie, maybe a shopaholic, or my personal favorite, a Tiger King fanatic. So there you go. And finally, this is a big use in I think a lot of our homes. It's called a hypochondriac's aid. This is someone who will let your worry wart who lives at home know that they don't have the COVID every time they sneeze, cough, ache, or belch. I think that would be a really, really helpful thing. So share a little levity, I guess, hopefully at a time like this when we maybe need a little bit of levity, and obviously keep good thoughts and good hopes in your hearts. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, Andy, for that very valuable information. And now, Cynthia Giles, would you like to say a few words?
Yes.
I'm that person. I apologize. Can you guys hear me okay?
No.
Oh. I'll talk louder. Okay. I'm Cynthia Giles, and I'm up here today talking about public image as well as literacy. So first, a literacy update. Over the last year, we have donated and collected more than 500 books in the local area. So thank you guys for that. That's awesome. We were able to donate a lot of brand new books, The United Way, for children in the Richland 1 area, as well as we have books to stock our free little library that we have here collectively as a club. And then we have 5 different assisted living facilities around the downtown area that we are giving adult books to. So thank you guys for that. We appreciate all of your time. And we are still collecting books. This is an ongoing effort, so if you have more books, please bring them in. The other thing that I would like to discuss is, as some of you may know, I actually run my own company, and as my company grows, I need more assistance in doing the public image here for our club. I would like to make sure that our club is able to reach all of you on a more steady basis, and as I get busier, that becomes harder to do. So I need 2 people to assist me as in the public image committee here locally. I need 1 person who is interested in sending out emails, so if you don't mind writing an email to the club every once in a while, that would be very helpful to me, as well as someone who has a background in press releases to engage with media so we can get more engagement with what we're doing locally. If you are interested, please just email me, and I really appreciate your time and effort on that.
Thank you, Cynthia. You have done an incredible job, and we all owe you a lot for this year and last year too. Thank you. I'll do this one next. Arson, don't we have a representative from Harvest Hope? Right there. Is that Quinn? Quinn Hayes. She would like to say a few words to us, and remember that we gave Harvest Hope $2,500 for you. All safe for you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
so good to be here again. It's so funny, like you're coming home, right? I started out with you guys actually like my first fresh week off the boat, I suppose, at Harvest Hope. You guys are one of my first presentations. My hair is different, but I always wear a flower, so that's how most people recognize me. So I'll just take a couple of minutes. We want to sincerely thank you on behalf of Harvest Hope. A lot of people have gotten to see us on WIS or the news, and if you drive by our Shop Road location, it's very evident exactly what we're doing. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to not only thank you and to tell you a little bit about the impact of your gift, but also to let you know how we've been in response to COVID. So I'm going to paint a couple of pictures for you. So I looked back at our numbers in February to see just how many people we were actually serving. And we serve about over 7,000 individuals in a month. So when COVID happened, the first week we served over 9,000 people in our two respective locations. Second week, it was over 12,000. So I really want you to put that in perspective. What we normally do in a month's time, we're doing in a week's time. And many of our lovely volunteers who we miss very much are seniors. We have over 150 volunteers in any given week at Harvest Hope. And so when you look at the line, I wanted to also share what's happening on the front line so you can really understand the impact of COVID on our organization. So about 150 volunteers a week we have, and many of them are seniors and needed to stay at home. So that meant all of us in finance and development or whatever position you held at Harvest Hope had to get from behind their desk and bag up milk and snacks and get on the line and serve, because the demand was just overwhelming and we didn't have the means to meet it in the beginning. We were really concerned that we were going to run out of food, because normally we serve an individual once every 30 days. So they can come to Harvest Hope, they get food for 30 days, but COVID happened and we were serving individuals every single day, giving them whatever we had, meeting the need. So I think a lot of people don't understand that it was just not the demand, it was also the lack of volunteers that we lost, but also on the back end of our organization, many of our wholesalers and retailers, you knew what it was like when you went to the grocery store. There was nothing a lot of times in the beginning, and so we felt that too. So our trucks will go out, we have 11 fleet trucks, and on a normal day at Harvest Hope, they'll bring about 1,500 pounds of food back for one truck. COVID, collectively, all 11 trucks went out and we brought back almost over 400 pounds. So I really wanted you to put it in perspective and see the impact of how it wasn't just on the front lines with the number of people that we serve, but really it was the donations that were coming in. It was, our volunteers that we needed so much. And the fact that many of our major events that where we collect the most food and money, all of that got canceled as well. So you're talking about Stamp Out Hunger, and you're talking about Food from the Heart, where many of you get the grocery bags, the red bags, and you fill them up. That's the largest day that we bring in money and food. So your generous donation was able to provide 12,500 meals. So we can't thank you enough. I'm trying to make sure that I shared all the things that I wanted to share. But just to give you an idea, this past May, we served over 14,138 individuals. And in the upstate, we served about 15,000 individuals in that month. So since the pandemic, we've served over 85,000 individuals through our curbside assistance. So it's like a drive-through, so we're not operating as normal. We're doing social distancing as everyone else is. So you just drive through, and there's stations that individuals come and pick up food. So things have improved tremendously than when we first started, but we're holding steady at anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000 individuals still, and we have a long way to go. So the impact of your gift is tremendous. So thank you for working alongside us in the fight against hunger, but even more so now in this pandemic. So thank you. Yes, sir.
What kind of help do you need now?
So just to put it in perspective, you can always do a food drive, but $1 equals 5 meals for us. So we can make your dollars stretch a lot more than canned goods, but we're not going to turn away canned goods, of course, because we need them. We're still doing our mobile pantries where organizations can do like a pickup in a rural area. But really, we're doing virtual food drives as well. So say, for instance, if your Rotary wants to help down the road, then we can set up a page with your logo and goals for you, and then you can just email the link out to your members and they can donate that way. Or you can do both, where you can do a virtual food drive and an actual food drive and collect food. We're still collecting all kinds of donations because We have a long road ahead of us, and a lot of, our entire city is not opened up yet. A lot of organizations are still trying to figure out what they want to do or how they're going to operate, and some, unfortunately, will not be going back to work because their businesses have closed. Yes, sir.
Do you need volunteers? You still need people?
Yes, so in the beginning, we could only take maybe 5 volunteers, but today I think I counted over 15, so that has improved. The slots fill up really fast, so if you go online, you can go under our Get Involved tab and you can fill out the form to volunteer. We'd love to have you. And we're doing safe distancing, so wear your gloves and wear your mask and all of that. I think it's really jazzy to see the variety of personalities that show up with the mask. Any other questions? Again, thank you. I'll sit around for a little bit. I have cards if you'd like to reach out to me personally, but thank you.
Thank you, Quinn. We are delighted that we were able to do what little we could to help you. It was such a wonderful project, such a wonderful thing that you do. So thank you. And please convey that back home. Okay? And now I'm going to call on Alan Roberson next, but first, I would like to thank you and Rhonda. I don't know if Rhonda Hunsinger is here, but together they have chaired this program so ably this year with our foreign exchange student, and I can't tell you the ups and downs, not only COVID related, but just in general, that they have handled. And she's a wonderful young lady, but they took very good care of her. And so I would like for us just to thank you. And now, Alan Roberson.
I don't know if you all remember that Lara Closer came from Spain originally and from the Canary Islands, but attended AC4 here and has been here since August. And she's had quite an eventful trip here. She survived COVID, dealt with all that, still got to do a lot of trips. She didn't find a place to surf around Columbia, but made it to the coast and did some surfing there. That's her passion. But she had great support from our host families. And if you remember too, Ori Lindler is the student that we sent over to Denmark and who will be coming home. That's Ori's mother, Ashley, here. Will be coming home in 2 weeks, and we'll want to hear what he's learned. And from everything we've heard, he's had a great time in Denmark. But I think Laura's had a good time here. She was able to do some trips and even got to attend a prom in Sumter. Is that correct? And she's going to tell you a little bit about it now.
Hello, my name is Laura Alenzet. I'm 16 years old and I'm an exchange student. I'm from the Canary Islands in Spain, and I've been here living in South Carolina since August. My first month in the US was the hardest one since I left my family and friends. But these last months have been really amazing. I've been going to AC Florida, and I've made a lot of good friends that I'm really going to miss, but I'm also really glad that I got to meet them all. While living with my families, I discovered a lot of new places and things and food. I went to Washington, D.C., Florida. I've been in North Carolina, and I visited a lot of places. The culture here is something else. Here is pretty different than my culture, but it is also very interesting, and I've learned a lot about it. And I just want to say thank you for this great experience.
Thank you, Laura. It's Laura. I'll learn it probably about the time you leave, Laura. You are an outstanding young lady, and we have been very proud to be your sponsors this year. And we hope it's been a good experience. I know it's been a well-rounded one. So we're just glad to have you, and I hope that you'll remember us, and I've got just a little token for you to think of us often. It's a little necklace that has the medallion with the state tree, Palmetto, and and the crescent moon. So thank you, Laura. And best wishes, come back to see us soon. Okay. And now for our speaker. Oh wait, we don't need anybody to introduce our speaker. I forgot. Is there anybody here that doesn't know Rusty DePass? No, Rusty, come on.
Greetings. Is anybody here who is going to vote tomorrow? Oh, wow. Is anybody here who has already voted absentee? Please, not the same people. I'm really surprised. I found out this morning that we generally have, on primaries now, we generally have in South Carolina, statewide I'm talking about, approximately 50,000 people who vote by absentee ballot in primaries. This year, we have something in excess of 260,000. And of course, we all know why that is. And thank goodness, as I was discussing with Marcy Andino at the Election Commission this morning, the good part is that we got shut down in the middle of March so that people had almost 3 months to come to grips with this and make their plans and apply for absentee ballots and get them and vote them and so forth. What if the shutdown had been June the 1st? And then we'd really have a mess on our hands. Let me tell you what we're going to be faced with tomorrow, and I'm delighted to know that so many of you are going to be voting. But what we're faced with tomorrow is that not so much for our protection as poll managers, but for your protection as voters. We will be wiping everything down. We will be wearing masks, at least most of us. All the check-in people will be wearing masks and gloves. And there will be as few opportunities for us to touch each other as we can engineer. And along with that, let me tell you that all the voters who come tomorrow are being asked to bring their own pens. Now we have pens if you don't bring one, but if you use our pen, then we got to wipe it down and all that kind of stuff. If you bring your own pen, then obviously you take it with you. Also, whereas most of the time when John Bakers comes in to vote, let me see your photo ID, and he will hand me his driver's license. Well, tomorrow he will hold up the license. Well, of course, this way to make sure he's who he says he is, but hold it up this way so that we can scan this barcode in here, and hopefully, if you're on the books, your name will come up, and we will not have to touch your driver's license, and you will not have to hand anything to us, and so forth and so on. So we're trying to keep that to a minimum. We'll have hand sanitizer for everybody, and we will wipe the equipment down every couple of hours, we can't do it after every voter, obviously. And we would ask that if there is a line of any kind, that you be patient and keep your distance. When you get checked in and you go to the ballot marking device, has everybody voted on the new machines at least once? Do you like them? I mean, are they better or worse? Or personally, I think they're a whole lot better. But you will. I'm not going to open this, but these are the styluses that you would use on the ballot marking device. We don't want you to put your finger on the ballot marking device. And of course, we'll have somebody sterilizing these things all day long as they are returned to us. I have put on each table a piece of paper. If anybody has a specific question they'd like answered, maybe I can answer it, maybe I can't. But if there is something specific that you'd like to know, either while I'm talking or afterwards, just let me know, and I'll get you an answer if I don't have an answer. What I would like, of course, you know, I guess people like John, who have lived where he lives for a long time, really don't have to worry about whether or not they're on the books and so forth and so on. But if you have any doubt at all about your voter registration, where you're supposed to vote, or to get a sample ballot, I'm going to come down and work with Cynthia, and we're going to show you how you can do that. And if you are inclined, let me give you this website right now, because you can go home and do this just like we're fixing to do. And the name of the website is scvotes, V-O-T-E-S, .org. And that, let me tell you what, you can, if you're a nerdy person when it comes to elections like I am, and studying numbers and so forth and so on, you can spend the rest of your life on that website. And I mean, it has so much information that I got overwhelmed with it myself. But I'm gonna come down, if I can, and we're gonna go through this so that anybody who wants to can get a sample ballot. And this is the website. Comes up with the Arthur Avenue Bridge, which is apparently the symbol of South Carolina everywhere these days. And you can, the number 2 item is check my voter registration. And if you will click on that, what comes up is the top line says county, and of course each of you knows which county you live in. You put your first name and your last name in the next 2 lines, and then your date of birth. So why don't you put mine in there, Richland County, William DePass. No, William, it has to be William. And then 9847. Oh yeah, you have to say 1947. There we go. All right. And here it says where I live, the county, Ward 25, the precinct address, which is the Kilburn Park Baptist Church, 4205 Kilburn Road. I'm in the 2nd Congressional District, right here. County Council District 6, City Council District 4, Senate District 22, School District 13, Municipality 582. House District 75, School District at Large number 1, and I don't know what the magistrate jury area is, but anyway, that's what comes up. So if and John wanted to give me, bring up a sample ballot, so let's get him to give us his information. Are you Richland County?
Richland County.
Okay, so you can leave that up. John
Newton.
Newton, N-E-W-T-O-N.
Right.
And he's even going to tell us how old he is.
6656.
Wow, happy birthday. You just had a birthday. 56, gosh, mere child. All right, John C. Newton III lives at 3361 Boulder Creek Road. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, he's in the Cooper Precinct, which votes at Dent Middle School. And the address, of course, on Decker Boulevard. He's in, this is the districts and so forth that I just went through for mine. And then you can view sample ballot. And then you have to go over here. Oh, you have to choose. That's one thing. People get a little aggravated sometimes when we ask them in which political party primary you would like to vote. Well, you can't vote in but one, so we have to ask. Anyway, but people generally respond when we explain that to them. So, and I'm not going to ask you because it doesn't matter. We'll bring up both.
But if you have a question, it said 10th middle school, but I remember last time I voted, it was at St. Michael's Episcopal Church.
Yeah, I think that is because,
Change.
and I have it on here, and I'll check it. But I think Dent Middle School is the normal precinct for can't remember what it is, but Cooper used to be, I know, at St. Michael's Church, but they've been combined, and a number of them have been combined in Richland and Lexington counties this time because we simply did not have enough poll workers. A lot of the poll workers are old, like me, and they just did not want to risk being in a situation like that. That's fine.
And Rusty, I think that's a key point for your presentation today, is that a lot of people may not be voting in their normal location tomorrow.
True.
So they're going to need to go log on to this website this afternoon and find out, in fact, where are they voting tomorrow.
Right, and I'll get that information for you. Here is
This is the Republican one.
which is this?
This is the Republican one.
Oh, okay, all right. And then you scroll down to the second page. All right, so here, this is the Republican ballot. For U.S. Senate, you have Duke Buckner, Lindsey Graham, Michael LaPierre, and Joe Reynolds. Now, I don't know if that's our Joe Reynolds or not, but assume not. Anyway, U.S. House of Representatives, Michael Bishop and Joe Wilson. State Senate District 22, Lee Blott and David Larson. And then they have the two advisory questions. This first question is, do you support voters giving voters the right to register to vote with the political party of their choice, yes or no? And should candidates for public office be limited to having their names listed only once on a ballot for any office in each general election, rather than current law which allows their name to appear multiple times but representing political parties for the same office? Yes or no? And those have no real significance except that if you want to give them your opinion. Now, can you back it up and get the Democrat
This is the
ballot?
Democratic one.
Oh, okay.
I was ready
You're
for
way
it.
ahead.
Yep.
All right.
Joe's sitting here.
All right, here's the Democrat ballot. It's a little shorter. It's Leon Lott running for sheriff, and Jason Roberts, and A.V. Strong. And for coroner, Nada Rutherford and Gary Watts. And where John lives, that's the extent of the ballot. Now, and where I live, we have a house contest between, I'm going to screw this up, I know, Heather Bauer and Rhodes Bailey, I think. And so my Democrat ballot, if I were to choose that in where I vote, would be different from this. Now, it would have these two on it, but it would have the additional one. And if anybody wants to come up, I hope Cynthia will not throw me out for this, but if anybody would like to come up and try to do this when the meeting's over, we can certainly accommodate that. But remember the website is scvotes.org, and you just you have all the access in the world. And by all means, if you try to do it and can't make it work, call me. I mean, I'll be around this afternoon. Jerry.
Rusty, if John had gone to St. Michael's, what would have been there to tell him to go elsewhere? Got it closed, right?
I hope that they will have signs that indicate that, but I can't guarantee it. I do know this. I have not been able to get anybody on the phone at the Roberson County Election Commission the last week. I mean, and when I went to pick up my stuff on Friday, they were absolutely swamped. I mean, they hardly know the person who has run that office for the last umpteen years is, I'm not talking about the director, I'm talking about the woman who did the work and made it run right, is a lady by the name of Becky Brown. And she's out having surgery on her foot, and so she's not available to them at all. Dentsville, wait a minute, that said that you lived in the Cooper precinct and you're voting at Dent Middle School. Yeah. Isn't that right? This list indicates that Cooper is voting at the church, St. Michael's Church, along with the Trentham Road precinct and the Oakwood precinct. And at Dentsville, at Dent Middle School, Dentsville precinct and Arcadia precinct. And the only thing that I can tell you is that I'll be glad to try to clarify that for you this afternoon. But that's a perfect.
Is Dent the one that's on Trentham?
Dent's at the corner of Decker Boulevard and Trentham Road.
Well, I'll go to St. Michael's and from there I'll...
Yeah, well, you can be on your way. You can kind of loop around. You know, the one thing that I can't say is that I'm going to be able to make sense of all this, because I've been trying to do that. I've been the poll manager for 30-some years in this community, and there are times when nothing makes sense. That's just the way it goes. I don't think there's anything demonstratively crooked about it, but it's just sloppy. It just takes so much attention to detail, and increasingly it is very, very hard to find people who have that kind of attention to detail. Robert?
Rusty, we normally vote at Creighton Middle School.
Right.
And I've just looked on my sample vote, it says Brockman Elementary.
East, South, and North Forest Acres have all been combined at Brockman Elementary School.
Okay, which is where?
Well, it's behind the Laureate somewhere.
Okay.
I mean, it's off of Bethel Church Road.
I know where it is.
What is it called?
And why they did that, I have no idea. But I did notice that East Forest Acres, North Forest Acres, South Forest Acres, and Satchel Forward are at Brockman School.
We'll go early.
Yeah.
The lines are going to be pretty long, wouldn't you think?
Well, no, I don't think they'll be very long, because number one, so many people have voted by absentee ballot. And bear in mind, we had a number of people raise their hands in here, but this is not, with a few exceptions, this is not necessarily an elderly crowd. And I think the lion's share of the people who have voted by absentee ballot is going to be the older people.
It's the
Yes,
nicest
ma'am.
thing you've said, Russ.
What's that?
It's the nicest thing you've said.
Well, yeah. Thank you.
Everybody's not old.
No, that's right.
The list that you're referencing, is that available online? Because it seems to be a conflict between what's on your page and then the actual site that you need to vote at.
I think it is, but I can't guarantee that it is. But I have it here if you'd like to check it. And frankly, I'm not sure which is authoritative. Which is the reason I told John I'm going to have to check it, because you get that and then the other. But anyway, just remember that website. Bill.
Does it matter if you vote in one party or the other? Will that have any impact at all on your ability to vote in the national election?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, the rule is this. And it does not apply to presidential primaries. So if you voted in the Democratic presidential primary earlier in the year, you can still vote in either party primary. This is only state law. You may only participate in the nominating process of one political party during each election cycle. So if you wanted to vote in the Republican primary tomorrow, the only restriction you have is that you cannot vote in a Democrat Party runoff 2 weeks later, if there is one. You have to stay with the party you choose tomorrow in a runoff. But beyond that, I mean, who would know who you voted for in November? I mean, they're not little people in those scanners that are watching everybody. I can guarantee you that, because I have to make sure there's nothing in them before we open the polls. John, do you have a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to go vote tomorrow without standing in a long line and being exposed. Is there a good time that those of us that don't have to go early in the morning or at lunch should go?
I can only tell you what my experience is at Ward 24 and 25, Lake Catherine and sort of the area around there, that generally, for primary, generally, if you come early, I mean, I'm talking about when we open, 7 o'clock, or if you come at the end of the day at 7 p.m., or 6:45, 6:50, or somewhere around 10:30 to 11, or around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Those are generally the lull periods.
Okay.
And John lives in the precinct that I refer to as the Idle Rich, so they kind of wander through at various times of the day. The people who are generally well-to-do, but they work for a living, are the people in Ward 25. That's who live around Lake Catherine, and that's a pretty steady stream too.
Okay.
But they come early, and they come late, and they come at lunch.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. In the wake of social distancing, say it's 7 o'clock, precincts are supposed to close, and some of these precincts that are now combining still have lines, what happens then?
Anybody who is in line to vote at 7 o'clock must be allowed to vote. I mean, whether they're 6 feet out the door or what. But, I really don't, because I can't guarantee it, but I really don't think that's going to happen. But keep in mind, if we had a voting precinct, let's say in this room, you could have a line that went out these doors and down to the other doors and the doors on that side, and you could have a lot of people properly distanced during in that kind of situation. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to tell you that the absentee ballot process, and some of you have done it, is a little bit cumbersome. But it's cumbersome for a reason, and that is that absentee ballots is generally the category where vote fraud perpetrators find their most fertile ground. And there are all kinds of stories and so forth. I have 2 books that I have in my library, and I've read them both, and they're quite interesting. This is written by Larry Sabato, who most of you I think probably know, University of Virginia political scientist, who is hardly a Republican, and his co-author here is Glenn Simpson. Yes, the same Glenn Simpson that was part of the Fusion GPS dirty dossier on Donald Trump. But they wrote a book a number of years ago called Dirty Little Secrets, the Persistence of Corruption in American Politics. And here again, you probably have to be a bit of a nerdy person to be interested in this kind of thing. But there are a few things that, like when they say, granted, this is a whole section on vote fraud. Vote fraud has been a staple of New Jersey's history. As one chronicler noted, what Renaissance Italy was to art, the old-time Garden State was to vote fraud. So those are some of them. And the other book is written by two Republicans, John Fund, or I guess he's a Republican, and Hans von Spakovsky, who I know is a Republican, and it's entitled Who's Counting? How Fraudsters and Bureaucrats Put Your Vote at Risk. And both of them, I think, very worthy books, and they point out a number of problems, a number of states that are particular problems. Of course, we all hear about Chicago and Illinois when the head nods in Chicago, the tail wags in Springfield. And one of my favorite political jokes is that there are two men having dinner in the prison mess one night, and one says to the other, you know, the food was better when you were governor. Anyway, that's really, let me see if I think I've told you everything you need to do tomorrow and so forth. If anybody has any questions, things I didn't cover or whatever that you have questions about. This is a stylus. Did I show you these?
We can't bring our own stylus, right?
Well, you could bring a Q-tip or something like that if you wanted to.
Some of the pens have a little rubber thing on the bottom, on the top of them where you can use it.
Right, yeah. If you didn't want to use this, I mean, you probably could, yeah.
Rusty, I would think that electronically, if you saw your name voting at Dentsville, that's where the computer's going to hook up your ID, because you said it's going to be zapped tomorrow. It's going to go to that computer, so I would think that would be the authority over that list.
Maybe. I mean, it just, it's one of those things you just never know. What's that? Well, if this were Illinois, you probably could vote in other places. No, and bear this in mind too. If you have applied for and received an absentee ballot, Jerry mentioned something about this to me earlier. If you have applied for and received an absentee ballot and have not mailed it back, you are not going to be able to show up at your precinct and vote, because your precinct is going to think you've already voted, and it'll be marked on their list, or it should be marked on their list. And you cannot bring your voted absentee ballot and turn it in at the precinct. We cannot accept absentee ballots. Now, you can take it down to 2020 Hampton Street or to Lexington on, I guess that place is still on Main Street. You can take it to one of those places, but you cannot turn it in, and you also cannot take your wife's or husband's ballot for them without filling out the slip that came with the absentee ballot that gives that person the authorization to turn that ballot in. That's one of the fraud protections, and when you go from 50,000 to 260,000 absentee ballots, and I don't know exactly how many that is for Richland County, but you know, there could be races that aren't decided tomorrow night. We could be counting ballots until Thursday or Friday, just because there's so many eating.
Rusty, just to answer one of the past questions about the combination of precincts, and you may have already mentioned this, I may have missed it. I'm another one of those political nerds like Rusty, but there is, if you go to the Richland County website, richlandonline.gov, whatever, just Richland Online, click on the government link at the top, and then from government go to Richland County Election Commission. That page has a link to a list of your precincts and where that precinct will be, the combination where they'll be voting now. So it's, because there are about 4 precincts to every 1 location. So it's a full list.
Yeah. Anything else? If not, I appreciate your listening to me wag on, and it's always a pleasure.
Are you telling her it's good she's
No,
getting out of
I was
town?
asking her if they had elections in the office.
Rusty, thank you. As always, it's very entertaining, and this was very informational too. And I'm going to stick this at your place, but it's a little token of appreciation.
Okay.
And now, before I forget it, the board is going to meet next week after our meeting. I think I forgot to make that announcement earlier. Just wanted to make sure. And the new board is invited to attend as well. So, with that, I would like to thank our host families. I don't think I thanked you earlier, but we couldn't have done it without you. You took such good care of Laura, and we do appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay, Rusty, are you ready to close?